Cecil Taylor was an American jazz pianist and poet. He started playing jazz in the mid-50s. By 1959, he was diverging from mainstream jazz, doing more complex stuff and longer tracks and longer performances. He found it hard to get gigs at that point. He had the Cecil Taylor Unit, which existed from 1962 to 2006, which had a shifting group of sidesmen. In the late 60s, he started playing solo live quite a bit, but he also had the Field Trio in the late 80s, which was himself bass and drums. All the way through into the 2000s, he was recording less, but he kept gigging, particularly with the Cecil Taylor Ensemble and the Cecil Taylor Big Band. By the time he died in 2018, he'd released somewhere in the region of 96 albums. Hi, my name's Dan. So this is a live album of solo piano jazz, which was recorded at the Montreux Jazz Festival in 1974, and is described as being free jazz, and I can hear why. It's my first encounter with him, and therefore obviously with this album as well. And I think free jazz is a good description of this. This is my second free jazz album that I'm reviewing in a row. These things happen. And I would describe it as lots of notes played very fast and is generally pretty impenetrable. Having said that, I could find some structure in it. And the things that I could hear were kind of repeated ideas where he'd do a kind of mostly kind of rhythmic idea, but sweeping up or in a particular kind of part of the keyboard. And then he'd do the same again, but there'd be a variation to it. And maybe a third time, then he'd move on and do something different. So there was obviously something that is structural in there. I would also say that I'm not a pianist, but it sounds to me like he must be actually pretty good at playing the piano, because to be able to play this fast and not just be mashing keys randomly, and it doesn't sound like it's mashing keys randomly because it's not messy in the sense that it's just kind of hitting a few bits here and there with his hands. It feels like accurate playing and obviously skilled, but it is difficult to understand what it is that he's playing or that he's intending. Sometimes he does play the occasional bit of recognisable chords or harmonies that within kind of standard music harmony. Most of the time it doesn't feel like that at all. And most of the timing is not it doesn't feel like it's got bars or any kind of rhythmic structure, apart from when he does kind of a motif and then just on something like that. Then he might then go, but this is where he's doing his variation, and he's got kind of some rhythmic idea that's going on as well. There are people who have said in the stuff that I've read about this that he's playing the piano more like a drum kit. I can kind of hear that is, this would be less unusual if it was being played as drums, I think. And I could kind of get some pictures and ideas when I started to think about, is that kind of a babbling brook or somebody racing up and down or, something like that. I could kind of get that there might be some figurative stuff going on here. So now I always listen to these albums, or mostly listen to these albums twice. The second time listening to this album, I was on the picking up from various things, runs for my kids. So this was done separately. So I picked up my 11-year-old daughter and asked her what she thought of the music. And she said, it's quite nice. And I said, oh, you like it? Yeah. She said, well, she said, it's like as if you got some classical music and you played different notes in different octaves, and then you did it at twice speed. So she was relatively impressed with it. My son, who's 13, had quite a different take on it. He said it's like a dog and a cat having a disagreement on a piano, and yeah, I could hear that. So he was less impressed, but I think both of them could hear that there was some skill going on. Both of them, they play piano. I don't. So it's not an album for the faint-hearted. I would say it's quite an endurance to get through it, unless you really like this kind of thing. If you're looking for free jazz piano, and who knows, this might be a really good album. It seemed to go down well at the concert. It's a live album, and there's a reasonable amount of clapping, so some people must like it. I saw some stuff in it, but I'm not feeling a huge urge to seek this out and play it on a regular basis. That's what I think. Please tell me what you think. Talk to me through the comments box. That's it from me for now.